Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Name the dog, Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints.
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where three geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, because he's here back for the second week in a row, it's Vactor of the Vactor-Verse and Frank of Thought Bubble Audio. How are you both today?
Hello there.
Very good. Excellent. Let's start with Vactor. What are you drinking today?
Well, I did this doesn't relate to the episode at all, but I got one of the new Coke cans that has the Marvel character on it, and it's Falcon. Or
Nice.
Captain, I should say Captain America.
Captain America.
Yes.
I like that.
That's it.
I like that. That's
I
the
dig
kind
it.
of thing I would have gone wild over when I was a kid. You know, like I remember the Phantom Menace Pepsi cans
Yes.
coming out,
Ooh.
and oh yeah, did I have many of them? Oh yes, yep. I
was
remember the
just
day
talking to
that
somebody who still has his.
really. That's awesome. If I thought about it enough in my head when I was a child, I would have cut them and kind of Mod Podge them into a book, like a scrapbook or something like that,
Ooh.
to kind of kept them. But now they just ended up in a bag and got recycled
Mhm.
eventually. But
Mhm.
you know, it's okay. Recycling's good. It's good for me and good for you. Frank, what are you drinking?
I am enjoying a new beer for me, second week in a row. I actually have tried this one. I tried this one the other night. But it is from Jack's Abbey Craft Lagers, and it is their Banner City Light Lager. It is a beer that is a
Celtics.
tribute to the Boston Celtics.
Nice.
It lists all the years that they have won the championship.
Nice.
And it's a really nice light lager. It's a nice, easy, crisp drinking, low alcohol, low calorie, but no less delicious. So
Excellent.
cheers.
I love that. I love that for you. I am not drinking a beer, but I am drinking something high in alcohol and in caloric intake. I am drinking a Jefferson's very small batch blend of straight bourbon whiskey. Here it is. The president himself.
Here.
There he
For
is.
whiskey.
Thomas Jefferson.
Nice.
Who knew if he
Nice.
even drank whiskey? Don't even know. Bottled for McLean and Kine, Louisville, Kentucky.
Nice.
Yeah. There's a hole inside this donut. Yeah. Something I've said on this podcast more than once.
This is true.
It just makes no dang sense. Anyway, but no, it does make sense. Is Tales of the Empire. The new Star Wars release we celebrated May the 4th not too long ago. May the 4th be with all of you. And Lucasfilm was kind enough to give us new Star Wars content on May the 4th. Always appreciated. This year was Tales of the Empire, which is an anthology series. Last year was Tales of the Jedi. Was it just 6 episodes last time too? And it's usually a 3-episode arc for different characters that you follow along. Tales of the Jedi, we followed Dooku and Ahsoka in the last one, and in this one, we got Morgan Elsbeth from Ahsoka from the Ahsoka TV show, and we got Barriss. Oh my gosh, Offie. Thank you, Barriss
Offie
Offie.
like coffee.
Offie like coffee. That's good. I liked it quite a bit. I loved Tales of the Jedi. Thought it was great. Actually, I liked the Ahsoka episodes. I loved the Dooku episodes. That's kind of what was my breakdown for this. And I think I actually enjoyed each set of these equally for different reasons. And so I think Tales of the Empire was a little bit better for me if we're doing comparison. But Morgan Elsbeth was not a character I really truly connected with or cared much about in Ahsoka or The Mandalorian when she first appeared. And so this, like, I just love Empire politics. And so I was, like, totally on board for that. I loved seeing young Thrawn in his dark uniform. I just, like, Captain Pelion, what's his assassin name? Rook, thank you.
And do you know who voiced him?
No, I don't.
One of my wife's favorite actors of all time, Warwick Davis.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's the kind of Lucasfilm love. I love that. I really like that. And Barriss, the Barriss story was great, even if you don't know who she is. If you hadn't been following her since Clone Wars, it's just like a really strong emotional counterpoint between her and Liz. Is that her name?
Lynn.
Thank you.
Lynn, that was it, yeah.
Who was introduced in the Obi-Wan series. That was the first time we saw her, and played by the same actor. She did her voice.
Oh, that's cool. That's very, very cool. But yeah, that's it. Let's open up the floor here. Vactor, what do you have to say?
So, I loved Tales of the Jedi, and that's one of the things that I always bring up first when people. I have a Star Wars YouTube channel. When people go at me and say Disney ruined Star Wars, anything Disney is terrible, I hate Disney Star Wars, the first thing I say after I say Andor is, did you watch Tales of the Jedi? Did you watch Star Wars Visions? Did you watch The Bad Batch? A lot of it is the animated stuff. But there are so many great things in Disney Star Wars, and Tales of the Jedi was one of them. I loved getting the backstory of Count Dooku, because he was one of those characters in the prequels that I felt like I was supposed to like him more than I did, and I just had so little information about him. Everything was just based off of, do I like Christopher Lee, which I do.
Mm-hmm.
But
absolutely,
Dooku as a character, I wasn't reading the novels. I wasn't going into a lot of alternate material, so I only had the Clone Wars. And then a little bit of the animated, the 2D Clone Wars back in the day, the Tartakovsky Clone Wars. So when we got that Tales of the Jedi, I was like, whoa, now I can see why people like Dooku. Now I can understand. And the fact that he was Qui-Gon's master. We got the Qui-Gon little cameo in there. That was great. Getting to see Yaddle, which is another character that in the movies we just don't have anything. She's in the background, and it's like, hey, there's a female Yoda, but we don't know anything about Yaddle. So I loved getting more from all of that, and then the fall of Dooku, and then the rise of Ahsoka. Almost, I felt like that was like the two pendulums that were going back and forth, and I liked both of them. So for me, loved everything about Tales of the Jedi. Tales of the Empire.
Before you,
go ahead.
Everyone will lose this thought if I had to say that. You could argue that Tales of the Empire does the same pendulum with Barriss and
that's
Morgan.
what I liked when I first saw that trailer. I was like, oh, okay, so we're gonna get Morgan Elsbeth and Barriss, but I didn't know who was going up and who was going down.
Mm-hmm.
But we did get the same type of thing, more information on a character that we didn't see a whole lot of. Like you were saying, I don't think from what you see in Ahsoka and from what you see in The Mandalorian, we really have time to form a attachment to Morgan Elsbeth. She's just kind of there, and she's doing stuff with the witches, and she's fighting Jedi with a spear, and then, spoiler, she's gone. And it's like, was I supposed to care about her? Was there something behind her whole plot and her plan? And now we see, like, why was she so loyal to Thrawn? Why was there so much? And this Tales of the Empire gives us a little bit more of that backstory. So I liked that aspect of it. And I love this animation. I'm one of those people that have been following it since 2007, 2008, when that Clone Wars movie came out in the theater.
How old are
evolution...
you? No, just kidding. Just kidding.
I was 9 years old when that happened. I wasn't. I wasn't already graduated of a college age. I was not that age. Seeing the evolution of, like, when that first came out, I was like, oh, they're so stiff, they're so blocky. I hate this animation. To now, it's so fluid that you can see the articulation and the facial features, like the musculature in the faces. I'm like, man, this is amazing. The level of quality of animation of these episodes for Tales of the Empire is fantastic.
They Fleischer-esque, like, in that, like, they're so short, but the quality is so high.
So
like,
high.
and that's what I think is quite moving about them. Then you get sucked in such a short amount of time, and then you're gone, and then you're like, wow, that was just really well done every time.
Yeah,
good, like amazing. Yeah.
I was struck by the animation quality too. It really was like, for some reason the forest fire sequence, like, real. I was like, whoa, that is like photorealistic almost. You know, like we've gone sort of past animation to almost like live action style CG. It was really that transformation from the Clone Wars movie to this is really, really, like, when you look at them back to back, it's been done in such a way that you're like, oh yeah, those are the same character models and the same style and whatnot, same designs. But when you look at them side by side, it's like worlds apart.
Mm-hmm. If you compare it back to 2007, even the quality of storytelling is vastly improved.
Yes.
They cut their 100%. Teeth on a lot of seasons of the Clone Wars to get to this point.
The more Dave Filoni has had experience, the more he got experience learning from George Lucas and then sort of taking things over, I think that the better it got.
Yes.
Story-wise.
And that's like, even that, the 7th season of Clone Wars is Disney Star Wars. Like, when people, again, they say, they ruined Star Wars, I'm like, that 7th season of Clone Wars is fantastic.
Yep.
It's 4K. Like, the quality of that is so fantastic. I did like the actor came back to play Morgan Elsbeth. She actually, in the very first episode, she's a child.
Yes.
So she's playing the mother of Morgan in that episode.
Oh,
and then
that's
the
cool.
rest of the series, or the rest of the episodes, she plays Morgan Elsbeth. Seeing her be responsible for the TIE Defender, that to me was like mind-blowing. That's where the idea came from for the TIE Defender. And it's interesting because if the Empire, they kind of like shudder and we don't have time for that. We're over here on the Death Star, like we're focusing on other things. But if they had actually funded her program, I think the attack on the Death Star, the trench run with Luke and everything, I don't think it would have been as successful if they were using the TIE Defenders. So there's a little bit of irony there, and the twist of, you could have stopped them in their tracks. But overall, when I left the Tales of the Empire, I felt there was something for me missing. There was something lacking, which Tales of the Jedi, at the end of it, I felt complete almost. I felt like there was a full arc to me. With these ones, go ahead.
I think I can answer why, because I feel kind of the same way, and I think I know why. Ahsoka and Dooku, by the nature of being with us longer, I think we're already kind of more attached to them in the first place. So I want to know more about them, and just kind of the juicier era that they're kind of living in and working in, kind of hit like Ahsoka. You're fitting in pieces to a lot of her history you already know. And Dooku, you've been begging for this information, or like we've been wanting it for some time, and it's giving you characters that you also like in his story. So you're getting Yaddle, or you want to know more Yaddle. Oh, here's Yaddle. You want more young Qui-Gon? Here you go. And so here's more Mace Windu. It's giving you all this stuff.
Yes.
These Tales of the Empire are giving you, especially with Morgan, they're giving you basically still a brand new character. And it's not hitting the same Easter egg quality, I guess, or interconnected quality. So, like, the TIE Defender, Thrawn, which we already obviously knew, like, it's just cool to see him in animation again, I guess. But, like, it's just not, the characters aren't as good as the ones that we watched in Jedi. The characters themselves are just not as good. They are B-C-T characters.
Yeah, I'll agree to a point. I came into this show not really caring about either one of these characters. You would not sell me on a show if I knew going. I didn't watch the trailer. I just sort of was like, I'm watching it either way. If you told me this one talks about Morgan Elsbeth and Barriss Offee, I'd be like, oh, all right, then I can skip this one, right? Because I don't care about either of those characters. I don't have any attachment to Elsbeth because she's relatively new, and Barriss, even in the Clone Wars, I was sort of like, okay, like sure, okay, she's Ahsoka's friend, and then she betrays her and all that. Okay, but like Barriss herself was to me a device for Ahsoka's story, right? She's secondary to propel Ahsoka's
like Morgan
story.
was, right? She's or Dooku or Devin in the same fight. Like they're just devices to propel other characters.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
But after having watched this, I am way more invested in either of them than I ever would have been. I care way more about Barriss Offee than I ever have before. And, now that I have her complete story, like, it really is like, it is, I don't know. It feels like I've seen her sort of, rise and fall, right? And rise again. And it's been really cool, and I feel way more invested in her now.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you at the end, like you just said, do you guys think she's dead? Because I saw different things online where certain people were like, "No, she's not dead. She just got stabbed in the stomach." You know how many people have survived a stabbing in the stomach? Ever since Qui-Gon is the only one that they all right, he got stabbed, he's dead, he's gone. Everyone else that we've seen in recent memory has been stabbed and they come right back.
I mean,
but to me, it was her breath when she's in the cold and she's breathing and then her breath stops. I was like, oh, she's dead. But then other people were like, no, Lynn says, I'm going to help you and I'm going to find help for you. So they took that as being, oh, she's going to help her and she's going to be alive. So I was curious, what did either one of you think when you were watching the ending of it?
I took her as dead because that's the natural progression of her story.
That's what I thought.
She expected to die. She told everybody to leave, take my ship, go. She expected it, was okay with it, and so she resigned to this was where her life had led her, and then thought she could get Lynn back on her side. Like she could get Lynn out of the darkness as she had become out of the darkness, and then like that optimism got in her way, and then instead of realism, and it ended up getting her killed, which is what she expected in the first place. That makes far more sense to me than like, oh, and also now she's still alive. Like, what do you do with a character like that has like accepted her death, is ready to move on, dies, and you're like, all right, well, you're not. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And it makes more sense to me that, like Frank, this would be a complete arc. The first, second, and third, or, the opening act, middle act, and closing act. And if they do more with her, I don't see the point of it. But I also felt like her arc felt really fast to me. And it's, again, they're moving because there's only 6 episodes or 3 for each character. And both of them I felt like moved really quickly. And I would have liked a little bit more breathing room for each character because, again, with Morgan, I still don't feel like I know who she is, and I wanted more time with her. And then with Barriss, I wanted her turns to be a little bit longer. Like her turn to the dark side is kind of quick, and then her turn back to the light side is kind of quick. So I wish there was more with each one. And then with Lynn, her turn I thought was really quick to go back to the light side. It was like it just felt a little bit too quick for me. That's just I just felt like I wanted more.
For Barris, I bought it. I bought the turn back to the light side because it was like the severity of it that made her sort of snap back, right? Like, this isn't what I signed up for. I didn't sign up for like just killing this entire village just like for fun. So like if that's what this is about, like I'm kind of out. Like I bought that. I did because she did go into everything she did with sort of thinking she was the good guy. You know, like she didn't do anything to be the bad guy, much like Anakin, like thinking he was doing, he was going to bring order to the galaxy and all this stuff, right? Like he had in some way, his good motives. So did she, and to see her be like, whoa, I didn't sign up to kill a whole village. Like that's not what I'm here for. And if that's what we're doing, then count me out.
I think Star Wars is also a franchise of missing pieces, where, you know, like if you look at Revenge of the Sith, before you even get Clone Wars, you get my powers of double since the last time we met count. You know, like, oh, okay, like, so a lot has happened, has it? Where'd that scar come from? Who knows? Not going to tell you either. You know, like, so you just kind of know that stuff has always been happening between one episode and the next one. There's always something in between. Like, that's what, in some ways, like, is what is super annoying about Force Awakens: The Last Jedi, because it picks up immediately where one left off. You know, like, that's not what Star Wars does. You're supposed to pick up somewhere in the middle and catch up. Like, you know, like, that's more like, that's part of the genre, or part of the franchise.
As Master Yoda said, always in motion the future is.
Right. Exactly, Master Yoda. Exactly.
I also liked, speaking of Master Yoda, how the titles of each one fit that arc. The Morgan Elsbeth was the Yoda path of fear, path of anger, path of hate. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate. And then with Barris's, hers was devoted, realization, and the way out. And each one, you could just tell from that word what the episode is about. Yeah. I really liked how the way out had a double meaning.
Double meaning, right? Yeah.
Both of them. I really like that. But I just, I wanted more. I wish these were like 12 episodes each, and I had really time to sink my teeth in. Because even like with the very first episode, Morgan, you see General Grievous, and he's out here, you know, massacring everybody. He's like, I wanted more Grievous. I wanted more time with Grievous, the character that I loved. I wanted more Thrawn time, and I just felt like they're really good, but I wanted more. And it's like also the binge nature of this, where we watched all 6, and now it's like, oh, we gotta wait till next year if we get another one, because we didn't even know this was coming. So I just like, I want something to look forward to, like how Bad Batch was like it was a weekly thing. It was 3 seasons, and I always knew there was new Bad Batch coming. And that if you guys haven't watched Bad Batch, or if anyone who's listening has not watched Bad Batch, the story that they tell on all 3 seasons of that is fantastic. That's exactly what I want. Spending time with all those characters, getting to know them, getting to love them, and then by the end of it, there's a satisfying kind of, oh, I just went on this journey with these people. Whereas with these, it's like, yeah, we had fun, and it was, there's little elements that we like to it, but I don't feel like we went on a journey with either.
So you're saying you want a committed relationship with your Star Wars characters, and not a flame. Not no summer loving for you. Just a steady flame, a steady committed relationship.
I hear you. And there are things where I want that, like, give me more, I need more, I want an ongoing, you know, committed relationship. But I kind of enjoy the sort of leave me wanting more aspect of it. You know, like, it didn't overstay its welcome, and neither of these 2 series did. And I don't know that I would be wrong, but I don't know that I would have watched a whole series about either one of these characters, or a whole season about either one of these characters, and I would have been wrong to do that, right? But that's just, I think a lot of people probably would not. But if you tell me, hey, the whole thing is going to be over in 2 hours, I'm like, oh, okay, well then, I can pencil that in.
It is, especially with us being dads our free time is so valuable now, and it's not like when we were single, when I could. At one point, I was doing 12 podcasts. I look back on it and I say, how did I have time to do 12 podcasts? And it was because I was single and I had no kids. But I think I can see both sides of it again, just like Frank. There's so many characters in Star Wars. If we did a series on every character, and every series was 12 episodes, we wouldn't be here. We would still be watching every single one.
Right.
So it is nice to have these little bite-sized pieces. But I just want more, like Kylo Ren, more.
Yeah, I think this anthology format is really, really good for Star Wars, for fleshing out some of these lesser known characters who are important, who do impact the overall story or impact other characters who are nearer and dearer to us. I like this anthology format for it, and I'm into it. I'm into it.
Truthfully, I think it's also good for its market group right now. Like, like a lot of, like obviously there are kids that like Star Wars and whatever else, and they're going up into it and whatever. But there's always something extra for them to watch elsewhere too. But for your audience who's like, my time is precious. And so if you're going to deliver something to me, it needs to be good or I'm walking, because it's just, I got too much to do that's not watching TV, right? And so if you want my time, it's got to be good. And you know what? Like, they're giving me something good and short. And so guess what? You got me on both of them.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's really hard to complain. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, there's also that notion of the time is so valuable, and I'm getting oversaturated with, and we've seen this with MCU, with Marvel stuff, and we've seen it with Star Wars stuff. I think I am an outlier in that I don't think there's enough. And they just announced today, Kevin Feige came out and said, okay, we're going to limit it to 3 movies and 2 series. That's all we're going to do going forward to keep the quality under control. Everyone I saw was sharing that news was like, yeah, this is great. Me, I want 12 Marvel movies a year. I will watch 1 Marvel movie every single month of the year, and I will like it. I want more.
And I will like it.
So, I'm an outlier in that. I don't.
Yeah, I can't do that. I'm very happy that they're. I'm very happy that they're like, no, shrink it down. And when I saw that, I was like, have you thought about 2 movies in 1 show?
Oh, no,
that's how I felt.
No.
Yeah, because there's I like other things. I like other genres. I wanted there are other things I want to see, and that part of you that's like, I don't know. I'm just gonna go back to David Hasselhoff, Nick Fury if I don't support these. Then less is more for me.
I thought you were gonna go Baywatch for a second. David Hasselhoff, Baywatch. What?
No. Less is
I was thinking
more.
Knight Rider.
No, yeah, well, there's a lot of
David.
No. The filmed live Jekyll and Hyde the musical. That's what I'm going with. Yeah, so for you musical people out there.
Cut.
So I do have one question before we wrap up this episode. Let's say they continue this anthology series. We did Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire. Where are they going next? And what characters would you like to see? I'm going to give you 2. I'll give you 2 different ones, and you get to choose the characters. One's going to be hard, one's going to be easy. Get Tales of the Rebellion. We could do Tales of the Bounty Hunters.
Oh man,
That's a good one.
Tales of the Resistance. Tales of the First Order. These are kind of these are the big ones. I think that we would most likely see somewhere out there. So where
I would love to see a Tales of the Resistance that has a Poe Dameron story.
Ooh,
I would love to see a Tales of the First Order that finally tells us what the hell the Knights of Ren are about.
you have to read the comics for that, I think.
Yeah, I know, but
I would prefer to watch it in 15-minute bits on Disney Plus. I agree.
I still don't even think that has satisfied the Like,
It has.
I think people are still wondering. I haven't read those issues, but I think in the popular culture, people are still wondering what was the deal with the Knights of Ren, and what was the deal with Snoke? Why was he so powerful? Why did he have such a big influence on Kylo Ren? And then they had that Kylo Ren comic, but I still don't get the sense that people got a satisfying conclusion out of that. So yeah, I would like to see more of those. But the way that I was going originally, they said, okay, first one's going to be Tales of the Jedi, right? So obviously, the next one has to be Tales of the Sith. I thought that was a foregone conclusion, and I thought we were going to get some of the older, like Darth Plagueis, all the previous Sith before Palpatine. I thought we were going to get those. But even on Bad Batch this last season, Asajj Ventress came back, and the way that she kind of left off, I would have liked to see, okay, what was her story? How did she come back? Because in the canon, she had died off in a novel, and then all of a sudden she was back. I was like, wait a minute, where did she?
Thus proving that the novels mean nothing until they make a show. Like,
well, they have to tell that story at some point. And not to spoil Bad Batch, but you do not get a satisfying reason for why Ventress is back. So I'd love to see more in some type like this. Three episodes of Ventress. Where did she go, and where did she come from? So yeah, Tales of the Sith would be great. All of those ones you mentioned. Anything past Return of the Jedi is fertile ground for me. It's like, and especially my favorite character who has not appeared in live action or in animation is Dr. Aphra, and she's basically like a Indiana Jones. Like,
great character.
I would love to see her in something. It's got to happen at some point. She has to appear in either something live action, whether it's a TV show or a movie, or animation. So that would be great. Like you said, I don't know if it would fit into Tales of the Bounty Hunters, but like something Tales of the Scoundrels or something. I don't know, Nerf Herders, something.
Tales of Nerf
that
Herders.
Would be interesting.
That's a good podcast title if there ever was one. Yes. That's a good Star Wars channel.
Yeah. So man, something we got to get more.
Yeah, I would love to see. I think that's a 3-arc Snoke like build up one. I really would. I would very much like to see that. There is something about like even like Tales of the New Republic. Like there's something in there.
Yes.
I was going to say Tales of the High Republic. But
New
Republic,
that too,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
And by the way, if you want to see Tales of the Sith, I suspect that show was called The Acolyte.
Oh man!
Also, High Republic for that matter.
Okay, there you go.
I am so excited about The Acolyte. Like, two things. My favorite Star Wars story of all time is the very first Knights of the Old Republic video game. And that's set 1,000 years before, when the Jedi were in their prime. They were, you couldn't shake a stick without hitting a Jedi somewhere. Like anytime you walked outside, there's a Jedi. So
you couldn't shake a vibroblade without hitting a Jedi.
That era, which is now they call it the High Republic. Plus, I'm a huge Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Shang-Chi was one of my favorite MCU movies. I'm a huge martial arts fan. And so this Acolyte looks like it's going to combine those. My chocolate and my peanut butter are coming together, and it's going to blend. So Tim, did you see? So you told me you saw the episode 1. Did they play the Acolyte footage for you?
I did not stay. Is it the trailer that they put out like a day later?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was interested to see that, and that was actually the whole reason why I went to go see episode 1 in the theater, was because they had promised new Acolyte footage. And
you didn't go for the love of it, Phantom Menace? Get out of here with your Star Wars channel.
Yes. So the promise of that new Acolyte footage to me was like overwhelmingly, like it got me, it pulled me into the theater, and it did not disappoint. So in that first Acolyte trailer, where you see a glimpse of, and it's a little bit in the second trailer too, the fight between Carrie-Anne Moss and the new person who we don't know a whole lot about. The footage is that entire scene, and it is fantastic. Like, that is Matrix level martial arts, the wire work, like the choreography, everything in that is amazing and made my spidey sense tingle. Like my hairs were standing up on my arms. I was like, this is something new for Star Wars. That's what I want out of new Star Wars. I want something I haven't seen.
I'm glad you said that, because one, I do want to see new things, but I did notice in this last trailer, like this last round, between some of the martial arts part and then that new Sith character with the helmet, and it's got like the gold, like the kind of the metal studs that make it look like a big smile. I was looking at that, I was like, that's so anime. I can't even like that. To me, like looks like it's straight out of an anime from something like Berserk or something or a manga. And so between that and this like wire work martial arts, what's the oh my gosh, what's the genre, the martial arts genre of movie like Hero and House Flying 1,000 Daggers and
Crouching Tiger.
Right. That like that style wire work.
Wushu.
Wushu. Thank you.
Yes.
And so like George Lucas was heavily influenced by Kurosawa and Samurai. So it's just the natural extension for other Star Wars to be influenced by other pieces of Japanese culture or other pieces of Japanese media. And that's like weirdly untouched territory. And so I just kind of love that they were like, yep, here it is. Because know why? Because this was Kurosawa, and now it's this. This is the natural evolution of Star Wars. And I just think that's just awesome. And so that alone has me very, very excited for the Acolyte.
On top of, like, that really has, that's number one for me, is the martial arts. Number two is kind of the mystery of who's killing the Jedi and things that we don't know about, because everything that we've gotten up to this point was the Sith. They've been extinct for a millennia. We haven't heard from them in 1,000 years. And now you're finding out, wait a minute, that wasn't true. So either there's a bunch of possibilities in my head that's floating around. It's either everybody who knew about that died, or it's a conspiracy. They're hiding it from us, or their minds got wiped, or something happened to make it make sense where Yoda and all these masters have no clue about any Sith activity for the last 1,000 years. So that's what I want.
It could, being a conspiracy makes total sense. When if you look at Phantom Menace and you look at Yoda's response, we're like, I don't believe the Sith could return without us knowing. He's like, hard to see what the dark side is. Like, he literally like, I don't know about that. Let's just shove over it, move aside. Like, that's that's good. Yeah,
you know what? I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi. Yeah, no kidding.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yes.
Awesome. Friggin' awesome. Anyway, folks, it was great for you to both be on today. As always, I love having when the Vactor of Vactor-Verse is here. Frank, you're always here, and I love it. So just so you know, it's like,
cool, thanks.
You're just like, I don't know. You're like banana bread. You're always reliable. I don't know. So, like, always good.
Little brown,
Little brown, yeah. Little, I don't know. Moist. I don't know. Anything moistened or made soggy? I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know. For me, it's still Tales of the Nerf Herders.
Yes.
Good stuff. Anyway, Vactor, where can people find you?
Anywhere that is social media, you can find me at Vactor-Verse, except YouTube, where I have a Star Wars channel called @TrustInTheForce, or I have a comic book channel called @ThisComicCooks, and you can look forward to seeing Frank and Tim talk about the new My Adventures of Superman season. Oh, I can't wait to talk about it.
It's gonna
so
be
excited.
Good. Frank, where can people find us?
You can find us at the good old beerwithgeeks.com. You can find us in any podcast app. Please subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Rate and review us to let the algorithm know that we put on a quality show here. And please, if you like what you hear, head on over to patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio and kick us $1 or $2 and help us pay the bills to make the show.
Yeah. Very good. A pleasure to talk to both of you as always. So until next time, cheers.
Cheers.